The sun of Valera rose slowly above the floating cities, painting the sky with shades of blue and gold. Princess Tira stood at the edge of the palace balcony, feeling the cool wind brush against her face. The palace was a magnificent structure, built from crystal and glowing metal that shimmered under the sunlight. The gardens around the palace floated in mid-air, held by the planet's magnetic fields, and each garden was filled with plants that glowed softly or hummed with energy. Strange creatures of many shapes and colors moved among the trees and flowers, some flying, some slithering, and some walking upright. Tira loved this part of the palace more than anywhere else. She liked to wander through the floating gardens alone, away from the strict rules of the court and the endless lectures from her mother, the queen. Her mother ruled the planet with wisdom and strength, but she had little patience for curiosity or adventure. Tira had inherited her father's love for exploration, which sometimes got her into trouble. On this morning, Tira noticed something unusual. Near the edge of the gardens, where the magnetic fields made the ground wobble slightly, a small figure stumbled into view. The figure was unlike any alien she had ever seen. It was human, a tiny, fragile creature with pale skin, dark hair, and eyes wide with fear. The human looked around in confusion, clearly unsure where he had landed or how he had arrived on this strange planet. Tira's heart raced. She had heard stories of humans from her mother and from ancient records. They were considered unpredictable and dangerous. They were fragile, unable to survive the harsh environments of many planets, and their technology was primitive compared to Valera. Yet as she looked at the human, she felt something she had never felt before. It was curiosity, yes, but also a strange protective feeling. She wanted to keep him safe and learn about him. The human noticed her presence and froze. He seemed unsure whether she was friend or foe. Tira stepped closer, slowly and carefully, to show that she meant no harm. She spoke softly in the common language of Valera, which she had learned from old records and training. "Do not be afraid," she said. "You are safe here." The human blinked and then spoke in a language Tira recognized from her studies. I am Leo," he said, his voice shaking. "I did not mean to come here. My ship, it malfunctioned. I do not know where I am." Tira nodded. She could see the fear in his eyes, but she could also see intelligence and courage. He had survived a journey to a planet most humans could not reach, and he was still standing. "You are far from home," she said gently. "Come with me. I will help you." Leo hesitated. He had learned to be careful around aliens. Many had been hostile, and he had been trained to survive in difficult situations. But something in Tira's voice and her calm presence made him trust her. Slowly he followed her through the floating gardens. As they walked, Tira explained what he saw. "These are the gardens of the palace," she said. "They float because of Valera's magnetic fields. The creatures you see are all friendly. They will not harm you if you do not harm them." Leo looked around in awe. The gardens were more beautiful than anything he had ever seen on Earth. Flowers glowed with soft colors and vines twisted and turned in ways that seemed impossible. Some creatures had wings made of light, while others had soft scales that reflected the sky. Leo felt a mixture of fear and wonder. "Your planet. It is amazing," he said finally. "I have never seen anything like this. I did not mean to land here. My mission was to study nearby stars. I never expected to find a planet like this." Tira smiled. "Many people do not notice the beauty of Valera. We are used to it, but you see it differently." She paused, thinking. "You are different from the humans I have read about. You are brave to survive this journey and kind to speak gently to me." Leo looked down, embarrassed. "I am just trying to survive," he said. "I did not mean to bother anyone." Tira shook her head. "You do not bother anyone. You are my guest, and I will make sure you are safe while you are here." For the next few days, Tira secretly brought Leo food and water to a hidden part of the gardens where no one could see him. He learned quickly about the plants and creatures around him. Tira taught him which fruits were safe to eat and how to communicate with the smaller animals. Leo was fascinated. He had never seen plants that could glow or creatures that could understand gestures. He asked questions constantly, and Tira enjoyed answering them. They spent hours together walking among the floating gardens and talking. Tira discovered that Leo was clever and observant. He noticed small details that others might ignore, and he asked questions that made her think in new ways. She had never met a human before, but she felt a connection with him that she could not explain. One afternoon, As they rested beside a small glowing pond, Leo asked, "Why are you helping me? My species is different. Some people might fear me." Tira looked at him carefully. "Because I feel that humans can be more than what others say. You are brave and you care for life around you. That is why I want to help you." Leo smiled faintly. "I never thought an alien would trust me like this. On Earth, I am used to being cautious all the time." Tira laughed softly. "Perhaps it is because you are different. You do not belong here, yet you survive. You think differently, and that makes you special." But their peaceful time did not last long. Tira's mother, the queen, had noticed strange activity in the gardens. She called Tira to the palace chambers. Her mother's eyes were sharp and filled with authority. "Tira," she said, "I have seen signs of human activity in the gardens. You know the law. Humans are forbidden on Valera. They are unpredictable and dangerous. Tell me that you have not hidden one here." Tira felt her heart pound. She knew she could not tell the truth. "Not yet." She bowed her head respectfully. "Mother, I only saw one human near the gardens. I did not interfere." The queen narrowed her eyes. "Do not lie to me. I will know the truth. Valera's safety comes before curiosity. You must obey the laws of our planet or you will face consequences." Tira left the chamber, her mind racing. She could not abandon Leo. She had seen his courage, his kindness, and his intelligence. She knew that if she turned him away, he might be captured or hurt. And yet defying her mother could bring trouble for both of them. That evening, Tira returned to the hidden part of the gardens. Leo was waiting and his eyes lit up when he saw her. "Did your mother find out?" he asked, worry in his voice. Tira shook her head. "Not yet. But I fear she will. We must be careful. You cannot be seen by anyone, not even the palace guards. I will protect you as best as I can." Leo nodded. "I trust you," he said quietly. "I have nowhere else to go." Tira felt a warmth in her chest. She realized that this human, so small and fragile, had become important to her. She did not know why, but she could not let him leave. She made a silent promise to herself. She would keep him safe, even if it meant risking her own place in the palace. As night fell, the floating gardens glowed softly under the light of Valera's twin moons. Tira and Leo sat together, sharing stories of their worlds. Leo told her about Earth, about humans and their struggles, about the stars he had traveled through. Tira told him about Valera, its history, its floating cities, and the delicate balance that kept their world alive. For the first time, both of them felt a connection that went beyond species or planet. They felt understanding and friendship, and somewhere deep inside, Tira knew that this encounter was only the beginning of something much greater than either of them could imagine. The night passed, and Tira watched over Leo as he slept beneath the glowing leaves. She knew that the next day would bring challenges. Her mother would discover the truth, and the laws of Valera could threaten everything they had built together. But for now, in the quiet of the floating gardens, they found safety and companionship. Tira whispered softly to herself, "No one will harm you. I will protect you." And for the first time in her life, she felt that her curiosity and courage had led her to something truly remarkable. The morning sun reflected off the crystal towers of the palace as Princess Tira prepared herself for the hardest moment of her life. Her mother, Queen Valera, had discovered unusual disturbances in the floating gardens, and Tira knew it was only a matter of time before the truth about Leo, the human, would be revealed. Tira's heart pounded as she walked to the Queen's chambers. The corridors were silent except for the faint hum of energy flowing through the palace walls. Every step felt heavier than the last. She rehearsed the words she would say, hoping that her mother might understand her. When Tira entered, Queen Valera was seated on her throne, her posture as perfect and strong as always. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, studied Tira immediately. "Tira," she said calmly, "you know why I have called you. I have seen evidence of a human in the palace gardens. I want the truth. Did you hide this human?" Tira knelt, bowing respectfully. "Mother, yes. I hid him. Please, Mother, do not punish him. He is not dangerous. He is kind and curious. He did not mean to come here." The Queen's expression remained stern. "Tira, humans are fragile, unpredictable, and they carry the risk of disease or conflict. They are not to be trusted. Our laws exist for the protection of Valera and all its people. By hiding this human, you have broken the law." Tira lifted her head, her eyes filled with determination. Mother, please let me have this human. He is different from what the stories say. He is brave, clever, and kind. I promise he will not bring harm to Valera. Please, trust me. Queen Valera's gaze softened slightly, but her voice was still firm. I see your heart, Tira. But feelings alone cannot justify breaking the law. How can I allow a human to stay when our world has survived for thousands of years without them? Why should I trust you? Tira's hands trembled slightly, but she spoke with a confidence she did not fully feel. Because, Mother, I see what he can become. I see his courage and his care for life around him. Humans may be different, but this one, he has something Valerans admire. He can learn, adapt, and show loyalty. Please, Mother, I beg you, give him a chance. The queen looked at her daughter for a long moment, her mind weighing centuries of tradition against the plea of her child. Tira's voice trembled slightly as she continued. I will take full responsibility for him. I will teach him our ways, and I will make sure he follows the rules. Please, Mother, let me try. Queen Valera stood slowly, walking to the balcony that overlooked the floating gardens. The sun reflected off the crystals, casting soft light across her face. You are brave to speak your heart, Tira, she said. Humans are not like us. They are fragile, yet sometimes they show great strength. Perhaps I can allow a trial, a test. If this human proves himself, I may consider letting him stay. Tira's eyes lit up with hope. A test, Mother? I promise he will succeed. I will guide him. You will see that he is worthy. The queen turned to face her daughter fully. Very well, but understand this, Tira. If he fails, the consequences will be severe. He will be sent back to his planet immediately, and you will face punishment for disobeying the law. Tira nodded quickly. I understand, Mother. I will make sure he succeeds. That afternoon, Tira returned to the hidden garden where Leo waited. His eyes widened when he saw her running toward him, her face glowing with excitement. Tira, what happened? Did your mother find out? Tira shook her head, trying to keep her voice calm. Mother knows, but she may give you a chance, a test. You must show courage, intelligence, and kindness. If you succeed, you may be allowed to stay. Leo felt a mix of relief and fear. A test? What kind of test? Tira smiled softly. I do not know all the details, but I will guide you. You must show that you are worthy of being here, that you care for Valera and its people, that you can think quickly and make the right choices. For the next few days, Tira prepared Leo for the challenges. She taught him about Valera's floating gardens, the creatures that lived there, and the strange energies that flowed through the land. She showed him how to communicate with the animals and how to read the glowing plants that marked safe paths. Leo listened carefully, learning quickly. He adapted to the strange environment with a mix of intelligence and creativity. He noticed details that even Tira had not seen before, like the way the magnetic field shifted slightly near certain trees, or how the energy of the glowing plants changed with the sun's position. One morning, Tira took Leo to a crystal maze near the edge of the gardens. Your first challenge, she said. This maze is not just walls. It changes as you move. You must find the center and return without touching the dangerous crystals. Leo looked at the maze with awe. The walls were made of transparent crystal, glowing softly with energy. He could see shifting paths, some leading to dead ends, others forming loops. I think I understand, he said. I will be careful and watch for patterns. Tira nodded and watched as he entered the maze. He moved slowly, observing the changes in light and energy. When a path shifted suddenly, he used a stick to test the crystal edges. When a wall moved unexpectedly, he adjusted his steps carefully. His mind worked quickly, analyzing patterns and predicting changes. After some time, he reached the center and placed a glowing stone on a pedestal, signaling success. Tira clapped softly from outside, her heart swelling with pride. You did it, she whispered. Leo smiled, slightly out of breath. It was tricky, but I learned quickly. Thank you for teaching me. Tira led him to the next challenge. A group of floating creatures, small but powerful, had been disturbed and were attacking the gardens. Tira explained, these creatures will defend themselves if they feel threatened. You must calm them without harming them. Leo studied the creatures. They moved in patterns, creating small waves of energy. He remembered what Tira had taught him about energy signals and gentle gestures. Slowly he approached, extending his hands and speaking softly. The creatures paused, sensing his calmness. Leo mirrored their movements, showing respect and patience. After a tense few moments, the creatures settled and moved away peacefully. Tira's eyes sparkled. You are learning quickly. Your kindness and intelligence are showing. Leo nodded. I am trying. I want to prove I can be trusted here. The final challenge was the hardest. Tira took Leo to the cliffs overlooking the city of Valera. A strong wind blew, carrying dangerous energy from the floating rocks. He had to navigate the edge to reach a beacon that signaled the completion of the test. Leo's heart raced. One wrong step could send him falling into the abyss. He focused, remembering everything Tira had taught him. He moved carefully, stepping on the stable rocks, feeling the energy flow beneath his feet. He used his hands to balance, and when a rock shifted, he quickly adjusted his position. Finally, he reached the beacon and pressed it. A soft light glowed, signaling success. Tira ran to him, her face full of joy. You did it! You passed the test. Leo smiled, exhausted but proud. It was hard, but I managed. I could not have done it without your guidance. Tira hugged him lightly. You were brave and clever. You cared for the creatures in the gardens. That is what matters. But Tira knew the ultimate decision still rested with her mother. That evening, she presented Leo before Queen Valera. The queen studied him carefully, noting his courage, intelligence, and calm demeanor. He has shown skill and care, she said slowly. Perhaps I underestimated humans. Tira, you were right to guide him. He is worthy of a chance. Tira's heart leapt. Thank you, Mother. I promise he will follow the rules and honor Valera. Queen Valera nodded. Very well. He may stay under your guidance. But remember, Tira, the safety of Valera comes first. You must continue to teach him. Leo bowed respectfully. I will do my best to honor Valera and your guidance, Queen Valera. Tira smiled, relieved and proud. She had kept her promise to protect Leo, and together they had shown that humans could rise to challenges and earn trust. For the first time, Valera had opened its doors to a human, guided by the courage and determination of a young princess who believed in friendship and understanding across worlds. As night fell, the palace glowed under the twin moons. Tira and Leo returned to the floating gardens, walking side by side. They knew the days ahead would bring more challenges, but they also knew that together they could face anything, and for the first time, both of them felt hope and excitement for the adventures that awaited beyond the floating gardens of Valera. The morning light spilled across the floating gardens, casting long shadows on the glowing plants. Princess Tira led Leo to a large platform near the edge of the palace, where the queen had arranged the next stage of his trial. This challenge would test not only Leo's courage and intelligence, but also his ability to care for others and understand the values of Valera. Tira turned to Leo. Today, the queen will observe how you handle real challenges. You must show that you can think quickly, act kindly, and face danger without fear. This is not a simple test of strength. It is a test of character. Leo nodded. He felt nervous but ready. He had already passed the first set of challenges with Tira's guidance, and now he had to prove himself on his own. He looked at the platform, which opened to a series of paths over the floating cliffs. The paths shifted and moved with the magnetic currents, and some were marked with glowing stones that would either guide or mislead him. Tira guided him to the first path. This is the maze of reflection. You must reach the center and retrieve a crystal of energy. The maze will challenge your mind and show how you solve problems. Remember, think carefully and observe patterns. Leo took a deep breath and stepped onto the path. The maze seemed alive, changing as he moved. He noticed that some stones glowed brighter when he touched nearby walls while others dimmed. He realized that the stones were signaling the correct path. Moving slowly and observing every detail, he advanced, using his reasoning to choose each step. Along the way, he encountered illusions of creatures that seemed threatening, but disappeared when he remained calm. He realized that fear would only confuse him. By staying focused, he navigated the maze successfully and reached the glowing crystal at the center. Carefully, he picked it up and returned to the platform. Tira watched quietly from the side, proud of his calm thinking. You are learning quickly, she said softly when he returned. You are brave and clever, and you do not panic. That is important on Valera. The next challenge tested his courage. A series of floating creatures known as glimmers were agitated and moving dangerously close to the palace gardens. They had never been hostile before, but the disturbances caused by the human visitors had made them restless. Tira explained, these creatures will attack if they feel threatened. You must calm them without using force. Show them that you mean no harm. Leo approached cautiously. The glimmers shimmered and hummed, their wings vibrating in warning. He remembered Tira's lessons about energy and communication. He extended his hand slowly, moving in the patterns of the creature's own motions. He spoke softly, repeating the calming sounds he had learned from Tira. At first, the creatures hesitated, then slowly lowered their wings and settled on the platforms nearby. Leo kept his hand steady, his voice gentle. He watched until the creatures seemed relaxed and returned to their usual movements. Tira's eyes sparkled. You cared for them. That is the kind of courage the Queen respects. You did not fight, but you protected them. You showed kindness and intelligence. After a brief rest, the third challenge began. Leo was led to a cliff that overlooked the city of Valera. A beacon floated on the edge, marking the final goal. The wind was strong, carrying sparks of energy from the floating rocks below. One misstep could send him tumbling into the abyss. Tira explained. This challenge is about balance, patience, and careful thinking. You must reach the beacon safely and bring back the energy crystal attached to it. Leo stepped onto the narrow path. The wind buffeted him, but he moved steadily, using the techniques Tira had taught him. He focused on each step, feeling the magnetic fields beneath his feet and adjusting his balance. When a rock shifted, he stopped and found another stable foothold. When the wind threatened to push him off, he crouched and used his arms for balance. Finally, he reached the beacon. He grabbed the crystal, which glowed softly in his hands, and carefully returned along the same path. Every step required attention, patience, and courage. When he reached the platform, Tira ran to him, relief evident in her expression. You did it, she said. You have shown intelligence, courage, and care. You are proving that humans can learn and adapt. The final part of the test involved a situation that could not be predicted. Tira led Leo to a hidden valley in the floating forests. Here, a group of young Velerans had become trapped after their exploration disturbed the magnetic fields. They were frightened and unable to move. Tira explained, These children are relying on you. This test is about empathy and quick thinking. You must find a way to save them safely. Leo surveyed the valley. The terrain was uneven and some areas were unstable. He thought quickly, remembering the lessons about Veleran energy and the movement of floating rocks. He instructed the children calmly, showing them how to move slowly and safely. He used stones and vines to create a path across the unstable ground. Step by step, Leo guided the children to safety. They followed his instructions carefully, trusting him completely. By the time they reached stable ground, Tira was smiling proudly. You have done more than I expected. You did not just survive the challenges. You protected others and showed leadership. Leo felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He realized that the trial was not about defeating obstacles, but about understanding the values of Valera. Intelligence, courage, kindness, and care for life were the qualities that mattered most. He looked at Tira and said, I understand now. It is not just about surviving here. It is about living in harmony with this world and its people. Tira nodded. Exactly. That is why the Queen's test is so important. She wants to see not just your skills but your heart. That evening, they returned to the palace. Tira prepared to present Leo to Queen Valera. The Queen observed quietly as Leo recounted his experiences. He spoke honestly about his fears, his decisions, and how he helped the creatures and the children. Queen Valera's eyes studied him carefully. She could see the intelligence in his actions, the courage in his decisions, and the kindness in his heart. Slowly she nodded. You have proven yourself human. You have shown qualities that we value above all. You have courage, intelligence, and care. That is more than I expected from any visitor. Tira felt tears of relief and pride in her eyes. Mother, he is worthy. He has learned, adapted, and shown respect for our world. Please allow him to stay. Queen Valera's voice softened. Very well. You may remain under the guidance of Princess Tira. You will continue to learn our ways, and you must always respect Valera and its people. Leo bowed deeply. Thank you, Queen Valera. I will honor your trust and do my best to serve and protect this world. Tira smiled and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. You have done well, Leo. This is only the beginning. There will be more to learn, more challenges ahead, but I know you can face them. The next days were filled with preparation and learning. Tira introduced Leo to more of Valera's culture and history. He learned about the delicate balance of the floating gardens, the energy patterns that held the cities aloft, and the responsibilities of the royal family. He studied the creatures, plants, and people, showing remarkable curiosity and care. Tira and Leo spent time together, exploring hidden parts of the gardens and forests. They shared stories of their worlds, and Leo began to understand the beauty and complexity of Valera. He realized that his mission had been changed. He was no longer just a visitor. He was part of something greater. Tira watched him closely. His courage and intelligence impressed her every day, but what mattered most was his kindness. He treated every creature with respect, every challenge with thoughtfulness, and every lesson with humility. She knew that her mother had made the right decision in giving him a chance. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the palace, Tira and Leo stood on a balcony overlooking the gardens. The air shimmered with light, and creatures moved gracefully among the glowing plants. "You have come a long way, Leo," Tira said. "You have passed the tests, but there is still more to learn. Valera is not an easy world, but it is beautiful. And now, you are part of it." Leo looked at the gardens, the creatures, and the floating cities beyond. "I understand now. This world is full of life, and I want to protect it. I want to learn everything I can and honor the trust you and your mother have given me." Tira smiled, feeling a sense of hope and excitement. Together they had faced the trials and emerged stronger. The bond between them had grown, and the possibilities for the future were endless. Queen Valera, observing quietly from her chambers, allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps humans were not as fragile or unpredictable as she had once thought. Perhaps they could rise to challenges, learn from others, and show qualities that even Valerans admired. The night passed peacefully, and for the first time, Leo felt a sense of belonging on this strange and beautiful planet. He had faced danger, uncertainty, and tests of character, and he had succeeded. More importantly, he had earned trust, friendship, and a place in the world of Valera. And so the trials ended, but the adventures were only beginning. Together, Tira and Leo would face the future, ready to explore, protect, and learn from a universe full of possibilities. The sun rose over Valera, casting soft golden light across the floating gardens and crystal towers. Princess Tira and Leo were walking through the palace terraces, discussing the next lessons for Leo. He had grown stronger and more confident in the ways of Valera, but neither of them knew that danger was approaching. Far beyond the palace, in the shadows of the floating mountains, a rival alien clan observed Valera carefully. They had heard rumors of a human in the palace and saw an opportunity to gain power. Humans were rare on other planets, and this one could be used as a bargaining tool to control the queen and her people. The clan prepared quietly, sending scouts and weapons to capture the human without alerting the palace. Tira sensed something was wrong before any attack occurred. The floating gardens shimmered strangely, and some creatures acted nervously. Birds with glowing wings circled overhead, calling out in alarm. Tira's instincts had always been sharp, and now they told her that trouble was near. She turned to Leo, who was observing the creatures. "Something is coming," she said. "You must be ready. We may have to leave the palace quickly." Leo nodded. "I will do my best. What should we do first?" Tira led him to a hidden pathway beneath the gardens. "We must reach the floating forest," she said. "It is dense, and the magnetic fields there are strong. We can use it to hide and escape. Follow me closely and do exactly as I say." They moved quickly through the garden corridors, staying out of sight of the palace guards and any approaching scouts. The sound of distant humming energy grew louder, signaling the arrival of the rival clan. Their ships were small but fast, capable of navigating the magnetic currents of Valera. Tira and Leo reached the edge of the floating forest, where massive trees glowed softly and vines hung like bridges between floating platforms. The forest was a maze of colors and energy, but Tira knew it well. She guided Leo carefully, explaining how to move without disturbing the delicate balance of the plants. "Step on the stable rocks," she instructed. "Do not touch the glowing vines. They are delicate and could alert anyone tracking us." Leo followed her instructions carefully. His hands and feet moved quickly, adjusting to the shifting magnetic currents. He realized that the forest was not just beautiful, but also alive with energy, and he respected it. "This place is amazing," he whispered. "I have never seen anything like it." Tira smiled but remained focused. "There is no time to admire it. Keep moving. We must stay ahead of them." The rival clan arrived at the palace gardens shortly after. They were clever and cautious, scanning the area for the human. Their scouts reported nothing at first, but soon they detected traces of energy left by Leo and Tira. They began to close in, moving silently, and using technology to track the faint energy patterns. Meanwhile, Tira and Leo navigated deeper into the floating forest. They used vines as bridges to cross unstable platforms and avoided areas where the magnetic currents were too strong. Leo noticed that some paths shifted when they stepped on them, but he adapted quickly, learning from Tira's example. As they moved, they encountered a narrow canyon. Below, the magnetic currents swirled dangerously, and one wrong move could send them plummeting into the abyss. Tira looked at Leo. "This is dangerous. We must cross carefully, or we will fall. Trust me, and follow my movements exactly." Leo nodded, his heart racing. He had faced challenges before, but the danger felt real and immediate. Step by step, they crossed the canyon. When a platform shifted, Leo adjusted his balance quickly, keeping his eyes on Tira. They reached the other side safely, and Tira allowed herself a small smile. "We are almost there," she said. "Once we reach the center of the forest, we can hide and plan our next move." But their journey was not over. A group of scouts from the rival clan appeared on a nearby floating platform. Tira saw them first. "They have found us," she said. "We must act quickly. Use the vines and platforms to move silently. I will lead, and you follow." Leo moved carefully, following Tira's lead. He used everything he had learned from his previous challenges. He observed the scouts' movements, predicted their paths, and adjusted his own steps to avoid detection. The forest itself seemed to help them, with glowing plants lighting their path and energy currents pushing them forward. After tense moments, they reached a secluded area where a small stream flowed over floating rocks. The water glowed softly with energy, and the area was hidden from view. Tira and Leo paused to catch their breath. "We need a plan," Tira said. "They will not give up easily. We must outsmart them, or they will capture you and use you against Valera." Leo thought quickly. "We can use the forest itself. The magnetic currents and floating platforms can confuse them. If we create diversions, we can escape while they follow false trails." Tira nodded. "Good idea. We will split into two paths. I will draw them toward the north side and you will move south. Then we will meet at the hidden clearing near the crystal waterfall." The plan was risky, but they had no choice. Tira moved first, creating small energy disturbances that would attract the scouts' attention. Leo waited quietly, then slipped along the south path, careful to avoid leaving traces. The scouts took the bait and followed Tira's energy patterns, unaware of Leo's escape. Leo moved swiftly, using the forest's shifting platforms and glowing vines as cover. He felt a sense of exhilaration and fear, but he focused on the goal. Finally, he reached the hidden clearing near the crystal waterfall. The water cascaded down in glowing streams, creating mist that obscured their position. Tira arrived shortly after. "You made it," she said, relieved. "We have outsmarted them for now, but this is not over. They will return, stronger and more determined." Leo nodded. "We need to prepare. We cannot stay here forever, but we can use the forest to our advantage. We can set traps, create diversions, and protect ourselves." Tira agreed. Together, they spent the next few hours preparing. They used glowing stones to mark false paths, shifted floating platforms to confuse trackers, and created energy barriers that would slow down intruders. They also found safe spots to hide and rest if the scouts returned. Night fell over Valera, and the forest glowed under the twin moons. The creatures that lived there moved quietly, sensing that the humans were allies rather than threats. Tira and Leo shared a small meal, talking quietly about the events of the day. "You were incredible today," Tira said. "You faced danger without fear and thought quickly. You are not just surviving, you are protecting this world." Leo smiled, though he was tired. "I could not have done it without your guidance. You taught me to observe, to think, and to act with care. I am learning what it means to be part of Valera." Tira placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are more than part of Valera. You are showing what humans can be. You are brave, clever, and kind. That is what matters here. As they rested, distant lights moved through the forest. The rival clan was searching, but thanks to Tira and Leo's planning, they had no clear path to follow. For now, the palace and the human were safe. The night passed quietly, with only the sounds of flowing water and glowing creatures. Tira and Leo knew that the danger was not over, but they also knew that together they could face it. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and kindness could overcome threats, even from powerful enemies. By dawn, the forest seemed calm again. Tira and Leo prepared to return to the palace, knowing that the queen would want to hear the details of the challenge and how they had survived. They moved carefully, using the paths they had prepared and avoiding any traces of their escape. When they reached the palace, Tira led Leo to her mother's chambers. Queen Valera listened as they recounted the events, the movements of the rival clan, and the strategies they had used. The queen's eyes softened with approval. "You have done more than survive," the queen said. "You have protected yourselves and the palace. You have shown strategy, courage, and wisdom. This human proves that trust can be earned, and that even beings from other worlds can rise to challenges and protect life." Tira smiled, proud of Leo. "Mother, he is ready for anything. He has learned quickly and acted with care. He is brave, intelligent, and kind." Queen Valera nodded. "Then he may continue to stay under your guidance. But remember, danger is never far. You must always be ready." Leo bowed respectfully. "I understand, Queen Valera. I will continue to learn and protect Valera and its people." Tira placed a hand on his shoulder. "Together, we can face anything." As the palace settled under the glow of Valera's twin moons, Tira and Leo walked through the gardens side by side. They had faced danger, outsmarted a rival clan, and proven that courage, intelligence, and kindness were more powerful than fear or strength alone. And as they looked at the floating city, glowing softly in the night, they knew that more challenges and adventures awaited them. But for now, they had shown that humans and Valerans could work together, overcome danger, and protect life across worlds. The sun rose slowly over the floating gardens, casting gentle light over the palace and the glowing trees. Princess Tira walked beside Leo, her heart feeling lighter than it had in weeks. They had survived the rival clan's attack, outsmarted their scouts, and proven that humans could rise to challenges in ways even the queen had not expected. But the final step remained: acceptance by Queen Valera herself. Tira led Leo to the grand hall of the palace. The walls were made of shining crystal, reflecting the sunlight and creating patterns of gold and blue across the floor. Servants moved quietly, attending to the palace duties, but all eyes turned to the princess and the human at her side. Leo took a deep breath. He had faced challenges before, but now he stood in the presence of the queen herself. The weight of expectation pressed on him. He bowed respectfully as Queen Valera entered the hall. "You have returned safely," the queen said, her voice calm but firm. "I have heard of your actions, human. You faced challenges, protected the children of Valera, and outsmarted those who sought to harm you. Tell me, what have you learned during your time here?" Leo straightened, gathering his thoughts. "I have learned that life on Valera is more than surviving. It is about understanding the balance of this world, caring for others, and using intelligence and courage to protect life. I have learned that trust must be earned and that respect is more important than strength." The queen studied him carefully. "And do you understand the responsibilities of being here? This is not just a beautiful world. It is delicate, and every action affects others. Can you live with that knowledge and act wisely?" "I can," Leo said confidently. "I will honor Valera and its people. I will follow the rules, learn its ways, and do my best to protect it." Queen Valera's eyes softened slightly. She had watched humans from afar in stories and records, but this one had surpassed all expectations. He had shown qualities she valued above all: intelligence, courage, kindness, and the ability to adapt. Tira stepped forward, her voice filled with hope. "Mother, he is worthy. He has faced every test, helped those in danger, and shown respect for our world. Please allow him to stay." The queen remained silent for a moment, considering her daughter's words and the human's actions. Finally, she nodded. "Very well. You may remain on Valera, under the guidance of Princess Tira. You have proven that even beings from other worlds can learn, adapt, and show qualities worthy of trust. But remember, every action carries responsibility. You must continue to live with care and wisdom. Leo bowed deeply. Thank you, Queen Valera. I will honor your trust and do my best for this world. Tira smiled, relief and pride shining in her eyes. You have earned your place here, Leo. Together we can learn and explore and make Valera even stronger. With the Queen's acceptance, life slowly returned to a sense of calm. Tira and Leo spent the following days teaching each other and learning together. Tira shared the history of Valera, the floating cities, the gardens, and the ways the people lived in harmony with their environment. Leo shared stories of Earth, of humans' creativity, courage, and curiosity. They found that even from different worlds, they could learn from each other and grow stronger together. One afternoon, they walked through the hidden parts of the gardens, where the sunlight filtered softly through the floating leaves. Leo, Tira said, you have changed the way I see humans. I had always thought they were fragile, but you have shown me that they can be brave, clever, and kind. You inspire me to be better too, Leo smiled. And you inspire me as well, Tira. You taught me to respect this world, to observe carefully, and to act with thought. I have learned more than I ever imagined. Together, they visited the creatures of the forests, the glowing plants, and the streams of energy that flowed throughout the floating gardens. Leo had learned to communicate with the creatures, to notice patterns in the plants, and to use his intelligence to maintain harmony. Tira observed him, impressed by how quickly he adapted and how deeply he cared. News of the human's success spread quietly through the palace. Other Valerans who had once doubted him began to observe him with respect. They saw how he acted kindly, solved problems thoughtfully, and showed courage in dangerous situations. Slowly, the humans began to be seen as more than fragile visitors. They could be allies, friends, and examples of what curiosity and courage could achieve. One evening, Tira and Leo returned to the balcony overlooking the floating city. The twin moons reflected in the crystal towers, casting silver light across the gardens and streams. The air was calm and the creatures moved gracefully among the glowing plants. Look at this world, Tira said softly. It is beautiful. And now it feels even more alive because of what you have done here. Leo looked at the city, the gardens, and the people who moved peacefully below. I feel like I belong here, he said. I never thought I would find a place like this. I have learned so much, and I want to continue learning and helping. Tira smiled. You do belong here, Leo. You have proven that humans can rise to challenges and earn trust. You are not just a visitor, you are a part of Valera now. As the days passed, Leo continued to explore Valera, learning more about the energy currents, the floating gardens, and the delicate balance that kept the cities aloft. He practiced guiding creatures, solving problems, and protecting the environment. Tira remained by his side, teaching, observing, and growing alongside him. The bond between them grew stronger based on trust, respect, and shared adventure. They learned that differences in species and worldviews could be strengths when combined. Leo brought human creativity and quick thinking, while Tira brought knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the world they lived in. One morning, the queen invited them to a council of elders. The human and the princess stood before the assembly, recounting the events of the rival clans' attack and the strategies they had used to protect the palace. The elders listened carefully, impressed by Leo's intelligence and courage. You have shown wisdom beyond your years, one elder said. You have honored Valera and protected its people. Your actions demonstrate that courage and kindness are not limited to one species. Queen Valera nodded in agreement. This human has proven that trust can be earned, and that intelligence, courage, and care are qualities that transcend worlds. He is a part of Valera, and he has our support. Tira looked at Leo, pride in her eyes. See? You are accepted not only by me and my mother, but by the people of Valera. You belong here. Leo smiled, humbled by their words. I will continue to earn their trust and honor their world. I will do everything I can to protect Valera and its people. With the council's approval, life on Valera settled into a new rhythm. Tira and Leo explored, learned, and worked together to maintain harmony in the floating gardens and cities. The creatures recognized them as allies. The plants responded to their care, and the people began to see the potential in humans who acted with respect and intelligence. One evening, Tira and Leo sat on the balcony of the palace, watching the sunset over the floating cities. The colors reflected in the glowing gardens below, creating a scene of peace and harmony. "Tira," Leo said quietly, "I never imagined a world like this. I never imagined that I could be part of something so incredible. Thank you for trusting me and teaching me." Tira smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "And thank you, Leo, for showing me that humans can be brave, clever, and kind. Together we have shown that differences can bring strength, and that friendship can cross worlds." The twin moons rose, casting silver light over the palace and gardens. For the first time, both of them felt a true sense of belonging and hope. They had faced danger, challenges, and tests of character, and they had emerged stronger. The story of the human and the princess became a symbol for Valira. It showed that even across worlds, trust, courage, intelligence, and kindness could unite beings from different species. Humans were no longer seen as fragile outsiders, but as potential allies, friends, and protectors. And so, the adventures continued. Tira and Leo walked through the floating gardens side by side, ready to face new challenges, explore new mysteries, and build a future where Valerans and humans could learn from each other. The bond they had formed was strong, a symbol of hope, friendship, and the limitless possibilities of understanding between worlds. In the quiet of the glowing forests, under the twin moons, they knew that the galaxy was full of wonders waiting to be discovered. They had faced the impossible and proven that courage, intelligence, and kindness could make any world stronger. And in that moment, Princess Tira and Leo, the human, understood that they were part of something much greater than themselves. Together they could face anything, protect life, and show the universe the strength of unity, trust, and friendship. The story of Valira and the human became a legend, a story told for generations about a princess who trusted her heart, and a human who proved that even from a distant world, courage and kindness could shine brightly.